A few weeks ago, I shared a video where I took you through my editing process, going from this initial photograph to this final edited one, asking the question when it comes to post-production, how far is too far? In this video, I'm going to look through your comments and see if we can come to some conclusions and maybe even take the debate a little bit further. So let's launch in. Scrolling through the comments, I would say about 70% of people said that my edits were perfectly acceptable. They wouldn't have done anything differently. Another 20% of people would have potentially gone a little bit further, or at least done something slightly differently to the way that I did it. And the final 10% probably wouldn't have gone quite as far. So let's start off by concentrating on that 20% that potentially would have gone a little bit further. The majority of the comments centered around the vignette at the corners of the photograph being distracting, which they would have taken away. A few people mentioned that they would desaturate the scene, so it didn't look quite as vibrant and therefore more, in inverted commas, nighttime-like. A few people suggested that the photograph that I'd chosen to edit wasn't the best example because it looked like I'd overexposed my nighttime shot. If I'd have maybe taken down the ISO to a more reasonable level, exposing it properly out in the field, making it look like a nighttime photograph, would have made the edits more simple and quicker and easier to do. And again, these are perfectly reasonable comments. Yes, I could have lowered my ISO and got a perfectly good nighttime photograph straight out of camera, but I often find when I do that, I want to brighten the photograph up in post-production, and for me I much prefer seeing the whole tonal range that I have available to me and work backwards rather than having to add light that wasn't necessarily there. At the end of the day, this all comes down to process, and this is a really vital aspect of photography that I'm going to come back to in a little while. When it came to the 10% of people that said that they wouldn't have gone quite as far, it mainly came down to the removal of certain things within the frame. So I took out a little streak of light above the cove, which I thought was annoying. I also took out some bright patch on the wall line on the right hand side and a little rock in the foreground. Some said that they would have done the same with the light and the annoying patch on the wall, but maybe the rock was going too far. And others said that if you are photographing a scene, then everything that is within it should be left within the photograph. And again, it's a perfectly valid response. Now, you could argue that the results aren't entirely accurate, because people who aren't necessarily interested in doing any post-production whatsoever probably wouldn't have clicked on the video in the first place. But I'm going to have to let you in on a little secret. I'd already come to my conclusions before I'd even posted that first video, and the comments that I received only compounded what I'd already thought. So, what were those conclusions, I hear you ask? Well, because photography is so subjective, I think each and every one of us sits at some point or another along a wide spectrum. At one end of it, we've got the people that won't do any editing at all because they think it's not true to photography and they want what comes out of camera to be their final result. And at the other end, we've got people that do so much editing that their photographs appear completely changed from what came out of camera. Many people would refer to it more as digital art than photography. If I was to place myself on this spectrum, I'd probably place myself just right of centre. I definitely don't want my photographs to look exactly how they did when they came out of the camera, because I don't believe that the camera sees things the way that I see them, and I want to do a little bit of manipulation to inject a little bit more of my own intention and feeling into the photographs. At the same time, I don't want to manipulate my photographs so much that they become unrecognisable from what came out of camera. But I have no qualms about getting rid of certain things that I think are distracting after the event. I think the comments that came in show off a plane of that spectrum. And because you are my audience watching videos taken from my perspective, then it's not surprising that the majority of comments that came back were in a similar position to myself. And even those that said that they would change things weren't drastically different from my standpoint. Which you could argue sort of puts a spanner in the works when we're trying to answer the question, when it comes to editing our photographs, how far is too far? But maybe that's not the right question we should be asking, because if everybody's on this spectrum at some point, everybody's going to think of one photograph or another. They've either gone too far there or they haven't gone far enough. So I don't necessarily think there is a too far or a not far enough. It just depends on our own personal perspectives of how we edit or how we don't edit our photographs. I think the problem arises from a lack of understanding, which leads to a lack of respect for other people on the spectrum. Because we feel so passionate about photography, we can often go down the rabbit hole of thinking my way is the best way, and if somebody else is doing it differently, they're doing it wrong. But we have to remember that photography is a really subjective medium, which means that there's no right way or wrong way of approaching it. I think it's good to set our own boundaries of how far we think is too far or not far enough, but we shouldn't respect anybody less for doing things in a slightly different way. Personally, I think as photographers we place too much emphasis on process. I'll never forget going to a talk by an eminent photographer a number of years ago, and in the Q&A session at the end of the talk, somebody in the audience asked, "What camera settings do you use to achieve your style?" The photographer's response was, "If you're asking me that question, you're not looking at my work properly." And I remember thinking, what an arrogant answer. This poor person that's found somebody that they can look up to and admire is suddenly chopped down by this very abrupt response. But as I was driving away at the end of the day, and the more I thought about the answer the photographer had given, I began to think, actually, they've got a point. Because when we present a finished photograph, we want people to admire the photograph, not necessarily the process behind it. It's a bit like walking into the Sistine Chapel and looking up to the ceiling and thinking, I would have used a different brush for that. Let's put it this way. If I'd have shown you this photograph first and asked you the question, have I gone too far with my edit? Then you probably wouldn't have been able to give me a proper answer because you haven't seen the process in order for me to get to that finished point. I understand that when we're learning about photography, process is really important because without learning about the process first, we can't achieve our aims in our final images. But I think in our learning journey, we have to aim for a point where we place emphasis on the final photograph, and the process that has gone before it to put it into practice is just second nature. If we can do this in conjunction with respecting people for doing things differently, I think our perspective on photography becomes much healthier and our horizons become much more broad. The key word, and quite a few people in the comments picked up on this, is intention. Our intentions for our photographs drive our process, and hopefully our process presents our intentions when people look at our finished picture. When I look at different types of photography, even types of photography that I'm not necessarily interested in myself, I will often look for the photographer's intention in their final image. And I often find that the strongest photographs are ones where we can park the process and appreciate the picture for what the photographer intended. If we can do this, then there's never going to be a too far or not far enough, a right or a wrong, a better or a worse, just different. And in a subjective world like photography, I think that's okay. Well, I don't know about doing more nighttime photography. I think I'm just ready for a lie down in a darkened room now. But if you want to take your learning further, then feel free to watch this video next. And give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. But from me for now, it's goodbye. Thanks for watching.